Wait, punters, forget Married at First Sight. I'm telling you, it was on in the halls of Parliament last week. Take a look at this. Oi, are you subbed to the channel? Yeah, if you could just sub and the like. Yeah, cheers, punt. Anyway, on with it. Okay, check this out. Zali Steggall, who's an independent politician, fiery clash with Labor Minister Don Farrell. He's called the Don Father, right? He's a big dog in the Labor Party over donation law changes. Let's watch this. Must be fiery. Oh, you'll probably need some character backstory. Right, okay. Zali Steggall is an independent politician, not part of a political party, and she's upset with the Don Father for doing a deal behind her back with the coalition about donation reform. Now, she says, and other independent politicians say, that he and the Liberal Party got together to rig the rules against them. But get this, the whole time, the Labor Party said that they were negotiating with the crossbench, which is Zali Steggall, David Pocock, Monique Ryan, Sophie Scompes, all these people here. So Labor and the Don Father, they said, no, we want to do a deal with you, like, let's negotiate. And then last minute, wham, did a deal with the Liberal Party, cut him out completely. And so Zali finds out about this, or is wandering the halls, I don't know, and the Don Father is giving a press conference about these exact changes. But Zali's there to be all like, oh, no, you didn't. This is not fair to us. All right, backstory good? Better than maths? I bet. Let's take a watch.
And the only people that will be able to participate in elections will be union members.
That is completely untrue.
This is so awkward. The press conference is there, so the camera angle is just on him, and Zali's just standing off to the side, just like literally looking down upon him with a look only a disapproving mother can give. That is gotta feel very belittling to the Don Father as she stands there while he tries to give a press conference, obviously feeling very self-conscious, and she's standing there interrupting as she goes, listen, this is great politics right here. If it was more like this, more people would watch. Am I right, punts?
Unions are subject to exactly the same rules.
Or members of the Labor Party.
You've got making your story. Either you think that it's the unions getting some benefit out of this. Unions are subject to exactly the same rules that every other donor is subject to. Unions.
Nominated entities, the associated entities.
Okay, so Zali just said, explain nominated entities. So Zali's standing there pointing out what she believes to be the loopholes that Labor and the Liberal Party carved into this bill that would specifically advantage them over their competition that Zali is now representing to the establishment halls of power. They don't like that.
Pool of cash that political parties have available to them, and the unions and the Labor Party, or that little secret loophole in the legislation?
There are no secret loopholes in this legislation.
Well, we'll be the judge of that, Don.
Legislation for the first time enables every single Australian, when you go to the ballot box next election, to know exactly who is donating to the political party, not those candidates that are supported by the billionaires and the millionaires.
Come on, SBS. Not that fiery. Maybe if it was later at night and the wines were flowing and there was a bunch of busybodies all around injecting themselves into someone else's personal business, maybe then it would get going and compete with the ratings of maths. But I did my best. So the TLDR is Labor and Liberal teamed up to do a dodgy deal. I made an Instagram reel about it for you short attention span punts. So give it a watch. If you've seen it, skip it. We'll talk after.
Someone's still here. Oh, good. It's just the cleaner. Why are we here so late? So we can pass this bill. Oh, is that the one you didn't show to anyone else except for me? That's the one. The one where we rigged the election rules to make it easier for one of us to get elected and not those damn independent and minor parties who've been stealing our votes for the last 10 years. Yeah, that's the one. So let's finish this and pass it while nobody's watching. Okay, how many tax dollars did you want to use to get ourselves elected next time? Can we double it? Why not triple? Can we do that? Together, we can do anything we want. Triple it. I've gone and put a cap on party donations, but
I've got to fact check that. I said triple it. They didn't triple it. They almost double it. Sorry about that, punters.
we still have 80 different entities for corporations and billionaires to donate to. Then there's the nominated entity that won't count towards the cap. And then there's the admin funds that don't need real-time disclosures. That sounds pretty complicated. That's the whole point. I mean, your nuclear policies is just a clear distraction, sir. You want those woke wind farms. Bloody politicians. Well, that's outrage. Complicated's the whole point. The more complicated we make it, the easier it is for us to hide the loophole. Oh, loopholes for us. Yes, loopholes for us. All in favour? Aye. Oh, passed with bipartisan support. Okay, let's get out of here.
This video is sponsored by Punters Politics. That's me. I've got t-shirts, punterspolitics.com. Go take a look, check them out. Anyway, back to it. Whoop. Why would Labor and the Liberals want to get together the first time they agree on literally anything? Why would they want to get together to pass rules and cut out the independent and minor parties in this negotiation? Because Labor, they have to negotiate with either the Liberals or the crossbench, which is a bunch of these independents, in order to get their bill passed. So they can choose to either do what the crossbenchers want or what the Liberal Party want. And it's no secret, the Liberal Party don't want any campaign finance reform. They love taking billionaire donations. That's literally why they exist. Now, why would the established political powers two-party system be afraid? Well, because votes for the Labor and the coalitions plummet to an all-time low last election for swings away from major parties. So they're concerned that that might happen again this election. And why would they be concerned? Well, if you go to the Community Independence Project, so this is part of the organisation that encourages and backs independents to enter Parliament. This is a list of independents backed by this group coming up at the next election. And last time, the independents just targeted Liberal Party seats. So every independent that you see in Parliament now today mostly took it off a Liberal Party member. So the Liberal Party hates the Teals, obviously, because they lost their seats to them. But now some of these candidates are wanting to take seats off the Labor Party. And so worst case scenario, both Labor and Liberal would lose power to independent politicians. So let's take a look at some of these changes, and you punters decide in the comments below if this is fair or not fair. All right, let's take a look at some of the good things that passed in this bill. So we've got some improvements to transparency. The government has lowered the payment disclosure threshold for donations from $16,000. If you donated any money up to $16,000, you didn't have to say, they didn't have to declare who it came from. They've lowered that down to $5,000. They originally were going to do it to $1,000, but because they decided to do a deal with the Liberal Party, no surprises, want to hide more of their donations. So it ended up at $5,000. Not as good as $1,000, but a massive improvement on $16,000. So that's good. Contribution caps have been introduced. So there will be an upper limit on how much someone can donate to a political party and buy political influence. That's got to be a good thing. Self-financing candidates such as Clive Palmer and Malcolm Turnbull will be subject to contribution caps. That's a good thing. And finally, this is a big one. The new laws, we will have real-time disclosure. So punters, right now, as it stands right now, we don't find out who has been donating to our politicians until like a year after money has already been donated and spent by them. So by the time we vote in this election, we don't know who has given our politicians money. Something important that we should know. But that should all change with these new laws. Now let's get to the cons. The reason why these independent politicians are upset. Well, one, they should have made it a $1,000 donation. You know what? You should declare any and all donations. I don't care if it's $1, $1,000, or $16,000. You should declare all of it. But it should have been $1,000, so that's annoying. The amendments fail to plug a loophole that allows donors to give separately to all different branches. So there's a spending cap of, let's say, $45,000 for each branch, but a donor can just donate $45,000 9 times around the country. If you're an independent politician, you don't have a party, you're just the one person, so you have a cap, but the party machine of the other candidate does not have a cap. Sound fair? I don't think so. And then they have an annual gift cap, so they've got another cap. So they've just split up the donations that someone would make. You go, no, you can't just give me a lump sum. You have to split it up to each different branches. Then you can do a gift branch to a whole thing. So it's weakening already. So the major parties could reap up to $450,000 per year from a single donor. Now, when you look at how much mining cartels and gambling corporations already donate to our politicians, from my understanding, they donate roughly around this much at the top end. Our politicians are notoriously cheap to buy, so $450,000 will definitely cover them buying out our political parties. That should work for us. The overall gift cap on total donations made to political parties and candidates is 1.6 million. Man, what? These caps. Oh, we've introduced caps. I don't think these caps are going to actually change how much corporations currently donate to our politicians. Fact checks welcome, citations necessary in the comments below. This is the biggest one. The governments have failed to remove the patently unfair provision relating to nominated entities, which are likely to be used by major parties. And that's what Zali was talking about. These nominated entities are not subject to any of these caps. So these are the investment vehicles that political parties currently use to siphon more money from the outside into their political party. So they really are counting us on not reading the detail of this bill. The Don father gets to stand there and say, oh, we've got spending caps. Look at us. We've got spending caps. We're capping donations. Yeah, above every amount that billionaires currently give to you. The only person you've stopped is Clive bloody Palmer. That's who you've stopped. And you have successfully stopped and capped the donations and spending of independent politicians. So I guess you've half done your job. The bill recognises nominated entities whose payments association to political parties would not be limited by donation caps. Independents do not have this privilege. So that's the common theme. Let's check out the conclusion from this professor from Melbourne University. Bad processes tend to make bad laws. The new framework is unfair and ineffectual in significant ways, yet democracy enhancing in others. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, but it really does look to me, an everyday punter, like the established power centers got together to rig the rules in their favor. And then there's this ABC article that goes all into the behind the scenes. You can hear what the Teals think about it. You can hear what Labor think about it. It's a real maths back and forth of he said, she said, blah, blah, blah. And you can make up your own mind there if you want to have a look. So this really looks like a massive power grab by the two major parties as their popularity is waning. So how are they going to justify this? Let's take a look at the Don father here. Here's the Don father on Sky News.
It shouldn't be the case that you have to have the backing of a millionaire or a billionaire to get elected to the Australian Parliament.
I agree with him wholeheartedly. I just don't see how the rules he implemented stopped any of that.
Ordinary Australians have got to have an ability to get elected. And
I feel like that's what the independent politicians are trying to say. They're saying, we are ordinary Australians. I don't have a political party. I don't have a political machine. I was a lawyer before I did this. I was a doctor before I did this. And we're telling you that these rules make it harder for we everyday Australians to get elected and compete with you. But hey, it sounds good, doesn't it? Cheers, Don.
And this electoral reform does exactly that. Now, okay, Zali says the rivers of gold that flow into her campaign should be unrestricted. I don't think that's what the Australian people want.
Oh, he's good. These politicians are so good at their PR little snappy campaigns because they know you're not going to look up any BS that he's saying. So you see what he did there? Zali thinks that the rivers of gold that flow into her campaign, that gives the impression that Zali gets way more political donations than Don Farrell and the Labor Party does. Now, you know that off the top of your head that is definitely not the case. But let's just take a quick look. He's banking on we punters not taking a look. On Zali's own website, she has 1,690 individual donations totaling $800,000. And almost all of it was directed towards electoral expenditure. And the largest donation was 55 grand received from a resident of Warringah. So she doesn't say who that was. I would like to know who that is. I think there should be names of every single person who has donated to every single politician on their website, on the home bloody page. That's what I think. But this information is a damn sight more than I've seen on Labor and Liberal Party websites. They don't tell us who their donations come from. That's why we go to the AEC. So let's fact check Zali's website here. Total donations, 888, pretty much checks out. And we do have the names of some of these politicians. So we got 50 grand from Katrina Chandler. Some random that's got spare 50 grand. Good for you. So yeah, that actually checks out. Now, that doesn't sound to me like rivers of gold. It's not nothing. It's almost $1 million. So who really has the rivers of gold? Let's take a look. And where are the rivers of gold coming from? We got billionaires, betting companies, and dark donations in the lead up to this year's election. We got Gina, of course, Timu Trump herself. We got Anthony Pratt, the man back in Labor. So we've got hidden money, undisclosed money, $75 million in undisclosed money. which is 45%, according to the Centre for Public Integrity. And these were all sources where they split up the payments to under the threshold. So this is what they do. They just split up the payments. They don't declare it and becomes dark money. So we don't know who is owning our politicians, but we can see some billionaires who own our politicians. We got Anthony Pratt, billionaire, who donated $1 million to the Federal Labor Party. Remember, single biggest donor to Zali Steggall was $50,000. And then you've got mining magnate Hancock Prospecting, $350,000 to Liberal Party, $75,000 to the National Party. So as you can see, Gina Rinehart can go on buying her favourite Peter Dutton politicians with the current money she's spending on them right now under these donation reforms. So no wonder it passed, because it looks like it will change absolutely nothing for the major parties. Then you got Sportsbet, $88,000, Tabcorp, $60,000, $44,000. See how cheap our politicians are. Labor didn't pass gambling reform that they wrote themselves, and then coincidentally, they got all this money from gambling corporations. Coincidence or conspiracy? You let me know in the comments below. And then, obviously, we've got dark money. So let's take a look. This is 2023 to 24. Almost $70 million. What was the spending cap again? $90 million. Oh my gosh. So Labor introduced a spending cap that is above and beyond what they're currently getting now. Yes, their argument would be, well, in the future, it could be way more. But they're literally changing nothing about how they get their money right bloody now. Almost $70 million for Labor, $65 million for Liberals, way less, $15 million for the Greens, and just shy of $10 million for the Nats. So Don, who's got the rivers of gold, mate? You've got the Scrooge McDuck swimming pool right there over with the Labor Party there, where over almost half of it, you haven't even told us where it's coming from. But this is why it's a smart play for the Don father to say crap like this. It's because, one, he knows you're not going to check. Fair enough. We've got better things to do. But two, he's banking on punters not really being able to tell the difference between 800,000 declared donations from a high number of individuals and over $67 million of dark money flowing into the major parties. So he's just trying to confuse the whole matter there. So it's a good play by politicians. If they can't convince you to trust them, they will convince you to distrust everybody. And then you'll go, oh, well, might as well go for him. That's the play. And it's a good play because it works. So is this a good bill? Well, according to the Centre for Public Integrity, the Australian Institute, Transparency International Australia, and the Australian Democracy Network, I'm sure a bunch of old boring suits sitting in the boardroom somewhere, they concluded that the new proposal, which just passed, would seriously disadvantage challenges to the major parties. So, if you want a two-party political system like the USA, these rules are great. It looks like it's going to be harder for upstart regular Joes to get into politics and compete with established powers. But if you think that we should be able to express our dissatisfaction with our major political parties by being able to vote for somebody else in our great preferential voting system, then you might think that these changes are actually not that fair. So, well played, Labor and Liberal. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Massive thanks to We the Punters over on Patreon. These are the punters that fund me. These are the punters that keep me making the videos that I think are important rather than the videos that just get the clicks. If you like what I'm doing and want to support the channel, head to punterspolitics.com. I've just dropped some new 2025 merch. If you're getting excited about the election, what better way to show it than with Punters t-shirt? Policy over party. That's right. It's written around on the t-shirt there. Feel free to share this with a punter who might not know just how scammed we're getting. Podcast drops every Wednesday. Give the video a like, the channel a sub, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers, punts.